seem to understand. I'm not locked in here with you.
That's it! You're locked in here with me.
Excuse me while I whip this out.
All right. Hello, moral monsters. Don't worry, I'm a moral monster too. At least according to retarded communists. What is it? Tuesday? Is it Tuesday night already? Jesus, what the hell's going on? Sorry to take the Lord's name in vain. In any case, sometimes I do that. Listen to me. It's Tuesday already. I can't believe it. This is Radio Baloney Live, Tuesday night. I'm your host, Richie Baloney. How's your week going, people? Who we got here? We got Spam Bob. We got Rosie in there already. Good to see you guys. Looks like Spambot got the first like of the stream. That's double good karma. As everybody knows, every time you like the stream or subscribe to the channel, you get free good karma from me. But the first like, that's double good karma. And in these troubled times, can you really afford to turn your face away from that? I wouldn't turn my back on double good karma. Not in these times. You need it. Anyway, good for you. How you doing, Rosie? What's going on? All right. Okay, well, let's get to the menu. What are we talking about? What are we talking about tonight? Let's go over everything very quickly, and then we'll get back to the chat for a minute, and then we'll get into all these stories in depth. So, as you know, the Canadian election is on now. So, we're going to be going heavy with the Canadian stuff while this election is happening over the next month. And then we'll kind of do more everything like around the world, but we're going to go heavy with this Canadian election. It's a big deal. Canadians have been waiting a long time for this, particularly conservative Canadians, and this is a big deal. So we'll be dealing with this heavily over the next month. We've got some stuff from Poilievre here. He's calling out Carney on he looks, it seems like he might have some conflicts of interest with China, and it more than seems like that. It seems like he definitely does. We've got a ton of stuff on that, on Mark Carney, on him just being just an absolute globalist, a net zero fanatic. We've got a bunch of Pierre Poilievre stuff here, who is coming out of the gate very strong with this campaign, very strong. I don't think that Mark Carney is going to be able to compete with this. Pierre Poilievre is good at talking, right? He's not like the best ever, but he's good at it. He's way better than Mark Carney. Mark Carney cannot talk. He just mumbles globalist gibberish. I think this is going to, I think the polling is going to, well, I mean, I think one thing that we have with the polling is we've got the Kamala Carney effect. There's several parallels with Kamala Harris's campaign and this one. Now, this is much shorter. It's only going to be a month, right? From now, it's, well, just over a month. But there's some definite parallels, and I think we're seeing that in the polling as well. And we're going to see that. But in any case, we're going to get into all of that. We've got some Quebec stuff here. We're going to talk about Mark Carney has turned down a French language debate, which is that is not going to help him in Quebec. They're very touchy about French there and about people speaking French and appealing to them in French. The reason is obvious. Mark Carney, his French is not good. So he's going to get slaughtered in the debate. So we'll get into that. This from Marty up north. I just want to show this quickly. This is an AI's representation of a typical liberal voter. Old liberal boomer woman with cat who's doing quite well financially. We're going to talk about the Tesla terror. So we got some American stuff coming up. This Tesla terror lunacy that we're seeing. It makes absolutely no sense. It really does. This is just zombie behavior. This is just mass psychosis. And it's kind of frightening, actually, when you see just how many people are utterly mindless. I mean, here's in Canada. Democracy requires participation, he says. He's protesting a Tesla dealership in Canada. How does that even make sense? It makes sense if somebody has been totally parasitized by a brain pathogen. That's how. There's some more DOGE stuff here. We like to cover that because it's just interesting. And it's kind of, astounding. And the more you see this stuff from DOGE, the more you realize, like, every other country needs this too, because they're all doing the same stuff. All right. We're going to talk about, here is another huge investment in Canadian manufacturing. So we're going to take a look at this. This is Trump's ultimate goal right now with the tariffs, is to repopulate that hollowed out American manufacturing, that middle of the country that's been hollowed out. And it's working. There's a lot that's been going in. And I think the American economy is going to be roaring, probably in a year's time. Then we've got just a bunch of stuff. We've got here Trump signing an executive order requiring proof of citizenship to vote and paper ballot trails. Just sanity, just normal stuff for every other country. Just sanity, right? Sanity. Of course, the left is losing their minds over it. We've got a bunch of stuff mixed in here with the last tab. Just like a crazy bug there, which I thought you guys would find interesting. It shoots like acid out of its ass. It's crazy. This is AI, and you really can't tell. This here, you can tell there's something a bit weird there, but Hollywood is screwed. And I'm going to show you another thing as well. This is an AI movie trailer. It's just a trailer. It's called Karen Unleashed. It actually looks pretty funny. But this is showing that Hollywood is going to be in big trouble. And when you look at this, Hollywood is going to be in big trouble. It's just going to get better and better as the AI gets better and better. Just some random stuff in this last one. We might do the last half hour as a premium because I've got half an hour left that I've got to do. Or not even that. I've got about 20 minutes left of premium content to do to fulfill my obligations to the creator program on Rumble. And so we might do half an hour premium right at the end and just get that done. I've got to do 5 hours for the month. That won't be for a couple of hours yet. We'll see how I feel. We may not do it. I may be too tired. All right. So right now we're streaming on Rumble, on YouTube, on X, and on Locals. And in about 50 minutes, about an hour, we'll shut down the YouTube portion of the stream because there's just all kinds of problems, right? So we just do an hour, and I just try to not, do anything that YouTube won't like too much in the first hour, although I fail every single time because they demonetize every single one of my live streams, of course. But we do about an hour, and then we'll cut it off, and then the rest of the show will be, an hour and a half, 2 hours, 3 hours. Who knows? Sometimes we go for hours and hours afterwards. Probably once we shut it down, probably an hour and a half, something like that. So, but we'll do the first hour there, and then everybody can just come over to Rumble. All right. So let's take a look at the chat, and hold on. Let's take a look at the chat, and then we'll get started in earnest. Let's see. Somebody's saying, Rosie's saying not viewing on X right now. Well, let's take a look. Let's see if I can bring it up on X. Let's see. Yeah, I've got it. Yeah, it seems to be running. No problem. Okay. Let's see. Let's go back a little bit. So, let's see. Spambot says, did you catch the announcement that Poilievre is offering to pay Carney $75,000 fee for the French debate? Yes, we're going to cover that. That's in here as well. Don't worry, we got that. Rosie says, I hit like on Rumble, and now I have 34 Elon Musks following me on X. I don't even know what that means. All right. Nevada says, what time is it? It's hitting the like button time. He said he just hit the like button. He did the right thing. Good to see you, JJ. Let's see. Nevada says, Rosie says it's baloney time. That's also excellent. That's an excellent time as well. Nice work. Nevada says that True Gina sucks. True Gina sucks. Always get an applause from that. I mean, he's gone now, but the name True Gina will live forever with him because that's what he is. Let's see. Spambot says Mark's Carnival. Mark's Carnival. You know what? I'm going to give that one an applause too, because that's a good one. Mark's Carnival is worse than True China. They call him True China because he's like a man, but he's a vagina. It's like a mangina, but it's a true gina. It's really, really terrible. Let's see. It's not nice. Nevada says, Richie, hope you're feeling better. Still kind of just got this low level thing. I don't know. It's just hanging around. Can't really seem to get rid of it, but we'll see how it goes tonight. Spambot says, people encounter too many Karens in HR. Why do they need to make a movie about it? To punish you. That's why. Let's see. Noah says, I thought he finished that Sunday talking about the premium, Rumble Premium. I tried to, but I started feeling awful right at the end. So we only got about, half an hour, 40 minutes in. Let's see. Spambot says the local stream hasn't started yet. It should be going. It's showing that it's going on in Rumble Studio here. So should be. Rosie says, I saw an AI with Trump, seemed real. I knew it was AI, so real. There's still that uncanny valley thing happening. So you can tell some of it's getting really realistic. Like this one, where is it? This one here. Let me just show you this one here. Like, there's a couple little things that are kind of tells, but I mean, she seems pretty natural. So it's getting weird. Let's see. Nevada says, there's two of my wives wrestling. I guess Blondie isn't making supper tonight. What the hell's happening over at your house? Nevada says, Trujina is gone, but never forgotten. No, never forgotten. Chat isn't showing on the stream view. You're right. I forgot that. Sometimes I forget things. There we go. Thank you for reminding me. We've got it done. All right. Drama says, sent you a link of the Carney cartel on X. Maybe we'll check that out later. And all right. And how you doing, Jamis? Good to see you. All right, so let's just get into it then, shall we? So, Pierre Poilievre, breaking in September, Mark Carney, some people call him Mark's Carney, like Karl Marx. Mark Carney, though, or Mark's Carney, as some people call him, Mark's Carney officially became the chair of Trudeau's task force on economic growth. Now, he had been advising since 2020 before that as well. In October, Carney met with the deputy director of the People's Bank of China. Just 2 weeks later, news broke that Brookfield secured a $250 million loan from the Chinese state-owned bank. Now he owes a hostile foreign regime, and his interests are against Canada's. And his interests are against Canada's interests. Well, I mean, China's interests aren't in Canada's interest. Why won't he reveal to Canadians all of his conflicts? Well, let's take a look at this. Mark Carney to chair Leaders Task Force on Economic Growth, September 9th, 2024. October 22nd, 2024. Hexin Zhu, deputy director of the People's Bank of China, met with Mark Carney, vice chairman of Canada's Brookfield Asset Management. Although this may appear to be a normal meeting, what are the underlying secrets to this exchange? And that's translated from Chinese. So, Brookfield in talks with banks to refinance Shanghai Towers. Brookfield Asset Management is in talks with banks to refinance a loan that is backed that had backed its purchase of a Shanghai-based office tower complex 5 years ago, according to people familiar with the matter. The Canadian asset manager has an offshore senior loan of about $700 million due year-end that funded its purchase of the mixed-use property site from Greenland Hong Kong Holdings. The overall financing package comprises offshore and onshore components. The size of the new offshore piece in discussion could be over $900 million, and Brookfield is in the process of getting bank commitments, said one of the people. Meanwhile, the company has secured a 15-year onshore loan of 1.96 billion won, 276 million, from the Bank of China. So it feels like there could be a conflict of interest in all of this, right? Brookfield. Now, China seems to think a lot of Mark Carney. In fact, they even interfered in the Liberal leadership race on his behalf. Freeland targeted by malicious WeChat campaign with alleged ties to China. Huh. The Security and Intelligence Threats to Elections Task Force site said in a release Friday an information operation directed at Freeland was traced to WeChat's most popular news account, an anonymous blog that experts have linked to the People's Republic of China. WeChat is obviously a Chinese app, and we know that China has been influencing the Chinese diaspora in Canada politically to support politicians that China supports, not for the good of Canada, for the good of China. Maybe ones that they feel like they can influence on their behalf for their own benefit. Well, obviously that, right? So this all seems like kind of important stuff, doesn't it? Really, doesn't it? Let's go to, I want to show you something here. Hold on one second. I want to show you something. Give me one second. Prior to his resignation, Carney did not own direct shares in Brookfield Asset Management Limited outright. However, he held financial interest through deferred share units and stock options from his tenure as senior executive and board chair. Now, how might he benefit from that? As of late 2022, when he became a reporting insider due to his chairmanship, he held 41,357 DSUs. That's deferred share units, valuing at approximately 3.2 million Canadian. Additionally, by the end of 2024, he held options on 409,000 shares with an average strike price of $37, valued at 6.8 million US dollars based on the stock's price then. So I asked Grok, really, I mean, how does he benefit from this exactly? Like, I asked Grok to tell me how he benefits from these DSUs. Deferred payout. DSUs are usually paid out in cash or shares only after a specified event, such as leaving the company or retirement. This deferral allows Carney to delay receiving the income, potentially letting the value accumulate over time as Brookfield's stock appreciates, especially given the long expiration dates of his related stock options, 2033 or 2034. So how Brookfield does while he's prime minister does affect Mark Carney's wealth. Blind trust or not. This was a loan to Brookfield from China. It all starts to get awfully tangled and awfully kind of ripe for corruption and perverse incentives. Does it not? Now, what did, hold on one second. So let's go to Pierre Poilievre here. All right. So Mark Carney has accused, Mark Carney has brought up the old thing about Pierre Poilievre not getting security clearance that is required for him to get information about foreign interference from the Liberal government. And the reason why Pierre Poilievre hasn't got that, he already has security clearance as a member of the government, but this additional one is because it's designed to handcuff him, so he can't talk about it anymore. It's basically designed to just muzzle him, so he just can't talk about it. So it's basically a deflection, but Pierre handled this very well here when asked about it by a reporter. So let's hear what he has to say.
On the allegations of foreign interference, Mr. Carney said today that you still have not received a security clearance. But with respect to these allegations, do you believe that having a security clearance and going through the normal process would help you to shed light on this? And on the same topic, do you think that Mr. Chandra, what do you think of the fact that he was removed as a candidate? Do you believe that could be associated with allegations of foreign interference? And finally, on the French debate, the TVA, that's 3 questions. Do you think it's right to accuse the Liberal leader to not want to pay $75,000 to participate in the debate?
3 questions in one. It's trying to get a bulk discount here. Yeah, I'll give him 6 answers for 3 questions. Merci beaucoup. Merci beaucoup de vos questions.
Well, thank you for your questions. First of all, I did have a security clearance in the past, but what I'm not going to do is allow the government to prevent me from talking. I want to be able to speak freely about these issues, and forcing me to sign some sort of commitment to stay quiet is not right, in my opinion. I'm the leader of the Conservative Party, and the Liberals want to prevent me from speaking freely. For example, if they tell me something that is not very important in private about China, after that they can say, well, you can't talk about China because you were briefed on this and you can't share any of this information. So that's the issue. And we know that they are politicizing this, and that's why they did this sort of thing during the last election. But Mr. Carney has to explain how he intends to defend Canada's interests, even though he went to China to receive a $250 million loan for his company from a hostile government that had killed our citizens and interfered in this country and took our own citizens hostage. Canadians cannot trust Mr. Harney because he's always working against the interests of this country and in favor of his own bank account. So I think he should publish or release all the information about his interests and all the commitments he's made through hostile foreign governments. Second, I have no information about Mr. Arias, so it's up to the Liberals.
All right. And I want to, I have this in English too. So it actually works a little better. Okay. Was this the one we just watched? I think that's the one we just... Hold on. Let's see this one here.
Received a security that they paid. He would certainly be too...
All right, hold on. Actually, he showed... So this is Thomas Mulcair. So let's just get to him quickly. He's the former leader of the NDP in Canada before Jagmeet. And he describes here very, very well why Pierre Poilievre shouldn't sign the agreement to sign onto the security thing, which is basically just made up by the Liberals to handcuff everybody. so they can't talk about the Liberal Party's crimes.
I would never have accepted to read it either. Never.
Confounding to some. What do you make of it?
I would never have accepted to read it either. Never. I don't want to be hamstrung as the leader of a party. I don't want to be told that now that I've seen this, I can't say that. I agree completely with the call by Pierre Poilievre.
Wow, timestamp this moment, Tom Mulcair. Really? Okay.
How does she not know he was going to say that? He has said this on TV about 1,000 times. It just shows you, like, don't trust what the teleprompter, don't trust the teleprompter readers. They know nothing. They don't know more than you. He has said this over and over again on television. How does she not know that? She's not an authority on anything, right? She doesn't know anything. She doesn't know anything other than what comes up on the teleprompter and whatever notes that her producer gives her.
This one time.
He's political commentator, and Tom is the former.
All right. In any case, he describes it very well there. It's just a tool that they're using to try and handcuff everybody so they can't actually talk about the corruption. All right. I had a clip of him talking in English here. Hold on. Let's check out this one.
So I've already had a security clearance. 3 questions. One, on the security clearance.
Let me make this bigger. Here we go. So here he is talking about it in English.
3 questions. One, on the security clearance. I've already had a security clearance. What I will not do is have, because I was a cabinet minister, so I've already been cleared. What I will not do is commit to the oath of secrecy that the Liberals want to impose on me. They don't want me to be able to speak about these matters. So they'll bring me into a dark room and they'll say, well, we're going to give you a little bit of breadcrumbs of intel, and then we'll tell you can't talk about any of this stuff anymore. So, for example, if they'd given me some kind of cursory briefing on China, then they would say, oh, you can't go talk about the fact that Mark Carney went off to Beijing and had secret meetings where he had secret talks with top government banking officials, after which a government bank gave his company a $250,000 loan, a loan that his company still owes, and a company in which he's still invested, meaning that he is the most compromised and conflicted leader our country has ever seen. He did this after seeing that China had interfered in 2 consecutive elections. He did this after seeing China take 2 of our people hostage. He did this after knowing that China had made incursions into our waters. How will Mark Carney ever protect Canada against Beijing's incursions into our territory? It's for interference in our country, or it's taking our jobs and our industrial base away when he owes them so much. And I won't be silenced on any of those issues. I look forward to hearing Mark Carney's answers, and I hope that Canadians.
Boom. Now that is how you do it. That is how you do it. And again, do I need to repeat? China even interfered in the Liberal leadership race for Mark Carney. Why did they do that? Why? Just because they just like him? They just thought, oh, he seems like a nice guy. I don't think so.
Media actually starts asking him some questions about the nature of Brookfield's holdings. It really is incredible. The media has had some of this information, and I look forward to them actually asking questions. We have a guy who's prime minister who's never been elected.
Why aren't they doing that exactly? Why aren't they starting off every news hour with that? I've already shown you Carney's financial future is tied to Brookfield, how well it does. I mean, that's a massive conflict of interest right there, just aside from the China stuff.
To anything. He's the most unscrutinized leader our country has ever had, and he's by far the most conflicted. We're putting it out ourselves from now on, by the way. This is a guy whose company denied coal miners his insurance arm denied coal miners their payments when they were dying of black lung in the States. They lost in court. The company lost in court. How is he ever going to stand up for working class people when that's the track record he has? He used renovictions, predatory financialization of real estate. How is he ever going to fix our housing crisis when that is his background? I've said in the past that he's just as bad as Justin Trudeau. Frankly, he's much worse, and he's much more conflicted, and he's going to be held accountable. On the debate, well,
none of that is surprising, by the way. He's a self-described elitist globalist. I mean, where is it? Let's take a look. He says it himself. I'm not saying it. He says it.
I'm connected. I can deliver for the country. And my weakness is, people will charge me as being elitist or a globalist, to use that term, which is, that's exactly, it happens to be exactly what we need. My weakness as a politician, I'm connected. I can deliver for the country. And my weakness is, people will charge me as being elitist or a globalist, to use that term, which is, that's exactly, happens to be exactly what we need.
No, we don't. I don't think we need that. I don't think we need that. He is a self-described elitist globalist. He's a technocrat for whom people are just numbers on spreadsheets. That's it. None of it's surprising. He's a self-described globalist. He cares about the globe. He doesn't care about Canada. Anyway, let's continue.
All his excuses are changing from day to day. Mark Carney says he doesn't want to debate because there's a fee. Well, I'll pay the fee. He says that he doesn't want to debate because Elizabeth May has not been invited. Well, I'll invite her. So let's invite Elizabeth May. I'll pay the fee. So Mark Carney can't afford to pay $75,000. Conservatives are generous. We'll pay it for him. But if he's still too weak and fragile to debate at TVA, then he's too weak and fragile to stand up to Donald Trump and for our country. The debate is simple. Do we want a fourth Liberal term after the lost Liberal decade, or do we want a new Conservative government that will put Canada first for a change?
So he is just so much better at this than Mark Carney, right? And this is going to show over the course of the election. The debates are going to be slaughter, in my opinion. Mark Carney's imperiousness and smugness are not going to save him at the debate. They're going to work against him, as well as his inability to talk or to articulate anything in a clear and concise way. It's almost like the economic genius doesn't really know what he's talking about, except in, just kind of abstractions, fantasy world abstractions. So what Pierre was talking about there as well at the end was the fact that Mark Carney had decided not to do a French debate on TVA, which is like the main place to do a debate, main channel to do a debate in Quebec. But I want to, just before we get onto that, just stay on this China thing, this, China Carney thing, just for another minute. So this is actually on CBC News, which is overwhelmingly pro Carney and frames everything positively for Carney and negatively for Poilievre. But there's a few things that do get through occasionally, just like occasionally on CNN, something will come through that's, against the narrative. But let's take a look here.
Kate, on this attack, there's a lot of, it could be this, it could be that. There's no evidence of wrongdoing here that has been laid out. I mean, what do you see as the issue here for Mark Carney?
These are not activities that happened prior to any involvement with the government. If you look at the timeline, he was advising the Liberal Party on economic matters before going to China to have this meeting with a state-controlled bank about a private business dealing. The whole point the Conservatives are making around potential or perceived conflicts of interest is around him holding both those roles in parallel. So when he is pressed on these matters and on these potential conflicts of interest, he gets very edgy. You can tell he's visibly annoyed by these questions when they are posed to him. I point to the interview that he did with your colleague, Rosemary, that is emblematic of this. He should just answer the question, what the purpose of this meeting was, and especially advising the Liberal government at a time when relations with China were rightly incredibly frosty. We had just come off of the 2-year holding of the two Michaels. We've now since found out that they've executed 4 Canadians. It is fair for Canadians and Conservatives to be asking the question about the nature of his business dealings with a regime and a country that has been actively hostile and murdered Canadian citizens. It is fair to ask that at a time when he's also advising the Liberal Party of Canada on economic matters.
Michelle?
Well, the answer is obvious. He's a self-described elitist globalist. He doesn't care about Canada, right? Let me show you something else I've got here. Let's see. So here's Mark Carney, his years abroad as an adult. So for the guy who loves Canada so much, he doesn't seem to really want to be here that much. Let's see. So his adult life is 42 years. So from becoming an adult until now. He spent 10 to 11 years abroad with Goldman Sachs, minus the time he spent with Goldman Sachs in Toronto. Bank of England, 6.67 years. So that's that's about 17 years of his 42 years as an adult. He has 3 passports as well, by the way. He describes himself as a European. In fact, I think we've got something on that. Here we go. What does this say? What is he saying here? So here he is. Of course, he was on the board of the World Economic Forum, speaking of globalism and everything. And here's what he said. Here's what he said at Davos.
Mark, you look like you were about to.
Yeah, it was a tell.
As a European,
as a European, I am a European, actually.
You are?
Yeah,
Oh.
I'm an Irish citizen. Yeah. So there you
go.
Welcome. Speaking as a European, I like to say following.
Mark, you look.
So he's not. This is not like some dyed-in-the-wool Canadian patriot. Okay, if he was, he wouldn't want to do things like triple, the Canadian population, right? That's not popular. But also might be a little bit more careful about, just obvious conflicts of interest with China. Now, China kind of makes sense for him because as a globalist, hold on one sec. China makes sense for Mark Carney because as a self-described elitist globalist, he would look at China and, technocrat central banker, he would look at the totalitarian Chinese state with envy. He would really like that. He'd look at the social credit score and be like, wow, you could use that to control how much carbon people use. Well, that's fantastic. And also, you could punish them if not let them buy things or get on planes or trains. And we already know that the liberals are very big on not letting people get onto trains and planes if they don't do what they want with mandates. But he'd be looking at China the same way that Justin Trudeau did. Justin Trudeau said, we've got it on tape, that he admires China's basic dictatorship. He wouldn't see anything wrong with what China's doing. Again, he's a technocrat. He's a globalist, right? He's a radical progressive. They like things like censorship and authoritarian control, totalitarianism, right? In their minds, it's just part of their philosophy of life, their ideology. Central planning is everything. People are too stupid to make decisions for themselves because if they're left to make their own decisions and their own choices, they won't choose the things that Mark Carney wants. Not everybody's going to buy an EV just because Mark Carney wants them to. So China, it's not surprising that he just wouldn't see any problem, even as somebody who clearly had political aspirations. All right. Now, let's get on to the TVA. Okay, so he's given a couple of reasons. At first, he said it was because, in fact, do we have it in here somewhere? Do we have it in here somewhere? Let's see. And what does this say here? Yep. Brookfield secured $250 million loan from Bank of China under Carney's oversight. Let's see. Oh, by the way, here, Careless Carney is from Melissa. Careless Carney, as governor of the Bank of England, Mark Carney spent £100,000 of taxpayer money on a summer party. Didn't go over well. Heads up, Canada. Well, again, he's an elitist. He thinks he's owed this. He thinks he's entitled to it. Bank of England blew £100,000 on summer party weeks after Brexit vote. Bank of England spent almost $100,000 of taxpayer money on its annual summer party just weeks after the Brexit vote. Just 2 weeks after the UK's decision to leave the European Union, Governor Mark Carney and around 2,500 bank staff, policymakers, and their families partied at its annual summer sports day at a cost of almost £100,000 to the public purse. The bank insisted it carefully budgeted for the Governor's Day Jolly on July 10th at its sports ground in Roehampton, southwest London. Governor Mark Carney, that's judgment, right? That's a matter of judgment, wouldn't you say? But again, he's an elitist. He feels entitled to this sort of thing. Let's see. Hold on. All right. I am just going to look for one thing. Hold on. All right. So, Mark Carney does not want to debate on TVA. So, TVA is a French channel that is the biggest venue for the debate to happen. There's also going to be a French language Radio Canada one, but the TVA one would be the big one that everybody's going to watch. A much larger audience. He doesn't want to do it. Now, Mark Carney's French is not very good, and he's going to get slaughtered. And the French they're very touchy about their language, which is fine by me, frankly. I admire the fact that they take care of their culture. They're not ashamed of their culture and their language. I think that's a good thing. I think we could learn something from them. But in any case, Mark Carney's French is very bad. And we've often called him Kamala Carney. I really need to make just a Kamala Carney video, just a separate video. But he wants to hide away like Kamala. And for the obvious reason that he knows he's going to get slaughtered by people who speak much better French in that debate. And he needs Quebec. He needs to do well in Quebec. So he's doing the cowardly thing. And his first excuse was that there was a $75,000 charge. So that's why they wouldn't do it, which is very odd. Are they claiming that they're broke? They're that broke? They can't afford the $75,000 charge? Now, TVA has had to lay off a bunch of people, and the only way they could get it done, because these things are expensive to do, is to charge the parties to do it. And everybody else is willing to pay, but Mark Carney says that he couldn't. But then, all of a sudden, that didn't go over very well because Pierre Poilievre offered to pay it for him. And then he comes up with another excuse.
In English, please.
Well, I said that, why not? If we have a debate with all of the leaders of the parties, I now realize that the leader of the Greens were not invited. There are two leaders of the Green Party, as you know. As well, we have the debates, which I look forward to, overseen by the Electoral Commission in French and in English. The 16th and 17th are the dates. I look forward to those debates, and I'll add that I have spent, during my leadership campaign, I spent more time in Quebec than any other province. I'm going there in 2 days. I have...
How many ums is that? Is that like 15 ums in, like a minute? Or 47 seconds? Something like that. And this is his first language. He ums more than I do, and I'm not a politician. It's not good. So now it's first it was, well, it costs $75,000, and I guess we can't afford that. And then it's, well, no, it's Elizabeth May, the leader of the Green Party. She's not going to be there. Yeah. So then let's go back to Pierre Poilievre. And the reason he doesn't want to do it is obvious. He knows he's going to get slaughtered. He's not good at this. He's not good at it in his first language. Never mind French, which he's not good at. Okay, hold on a second. Here we go. So here was Pierre Poilievre responding to Mark Carney's excuse that they didn't want to pay the $75,000 to TVA. Let's take a look.
In hiding because he believes that he's too weak to defend the lost Liberal decade or explain why he thinks Liberals deserve a fourth term. Let's have a debate in French where we put together the choice. Either a fourth Liberal term after costs and crime have gone up and our economy has gone down under the American thumb, or putting Canada first for a change with a new Conservative government that will build the homes. I'll even pay Mr. Carney's fee so that he can show up. We'll take that excuse away from him. Conservatives will even pay the fee to bring him out. He's not afraid. And by the way, if he is afraid to have the debate, how is he going to have the courage to stand up against Donald Trump? It's going to take someone who's strong enough to do that. And if he's not afraid, then he'll show up at that debate. I'm not afraid, and I'm ready to enjoy that debate with in hiding because he believes.
So it's actually just weird, and it's actually kind of shocking that Mark Carney would think that would just be okay. I mean, it shows that his handlers do not feel that Carney is strong enough to survive that. Let's see. Hold on a second. Let's go to okay, hold on. Let's go to where is it? So let's go to Blanchette here. He's the leader of the Bloc, which is the Quebec Nationalist Party, basically separatist party. And he's asked here about Mark Carney and not wanting to do the that TVA French debate. Let's hear what he has to say.
Do you think he's doing this because he's afraid about his French being compared to yours twice?
So far, I don't know what he's not afraid of. This guy is supposed to be strong enough to face Donald Trump, which is one of the biggest threats on democracy and freedom for a long time. I will face the guy. And then we say, hey, come in Quebec and discuss with us because you want us to vote for you. Oh, I won't go. And I have the perfect pretext. I say, us, the Liberal Party of Canada, we do not have $75,000. We're so poor. Yeah, I do believe that. So I'm saying to him, hey, let's come and face the music.
Officially, he said that he's not going to parade about his French.
He says, let's face the music. Hold on, where is it? I accidentally moved it there. Yeah, let's face the music. Carney doesn't want to face the music. Let's watch. Let's continue.
We're so poor. Yeah, I do believe that. So I'm saying to him, hey, let's come and face the music.
Officially, he said that he's not going to participate. He hasn't talked about the money being an issue.
The Liberal Party has said that they don't want to pay the $75,000.
It's not in the official statement, but can I ask you, are you worried that this robs you of an important platform for yourself in an election campaign?
That's the intention of Mr. Carney. I want to rob the Bloc Québécois, which I have refused to acknowledge so far, of a very important stage on which they could force me to reveal something of a program about which I have said nothing so far. This is not the behavior of somebody which has been well equipped with courage.
Pensez que son français est pas assez bon pour participer à ce débat-là?
Bah, écoutez, ça c'est perdant-perdant.
So this bodes very poorly for Carney, and he needs Quebec. He absolutely needs Quebec. He's going to get destroyed in Quebec. This is one of the reasons I'm not buying this polling that we're seeing. We'll get to that in a little bit. But He's being shamed. If he doesn't do it, I mean, I think already this is going to hurt him badly in Quebec, right? Will he end up doing it? I don't think that he will, because I think he's just too weak. I think he's just too weak. Let's see. All right, hold on. So we're about an hour in, and I think that what we're going to do right now is shut down the YouTube portion of the stream. And yeah, I think we're going to have to do that now. We always do it at about an hour. We're doing it a little bit earlier tonight, but I don't think the stream will be as long tonight. So we're going to keep going on. We're going to continue on with the Canadian election stuff for a little while. And then we've got some DOGE and the Tesla terror stuff that's going on and some Trump stuff. And we'll get onto that after. But we still got a bit more Canadian election stuff to do. But we're going to do that on Rumble, on X, and on Locals. But we won't be doing any more of it on YouTube, just because there's just YouTube, more YouTube, more problems. That's the thing with YouTube, right? I don't know, it's all the communism in YouTube. I think there's a lot of communists running YouTube. It's just a problem. It's a problem they're gonna have to solve. But in any case, anybody watching on YouTube right now, I love you guys. You are valued. You are loved here on this channel. Please come join us over on Rumble. And we're going to continue there. So hopefully we'll see you there. If not, Friday.